What's going on? Welcome back. A little bit of technical difficulties. It was actually something really stupid. It wasn't really technical difficulties, but we worked it out. We're good to go. We're back. Back on Off the Schneid. We're going to rip some drafts. Best Ball Jeopardy was just on the Fanspeak network over there. I think they must have wrapped up by now. I was having some issues getting my view put together, but should be over. I think Candyman won. Shout out Candyman. Just so you know, if you're delaying like that, slow in, and if we get matched up in the semis, I'm not standing for it, man. I'm not standing for it. So we'll, I'm sure I'll see you in the chat maybe, and we'll have a conversation. But maybe I'll see you in the semis, and then we'll have a conversation. But either way, we're back off the Schneid. Let's go. Training camp's open. Super exciting, super fun. We're getting some clarity. We actually have some things to argue about now that are tangible, which is great. So now we can actually talk about stuff that's actually going on instead of just speculating. So that'll be good. That'll be helpful, be able to build their player takes and things like that. So we're going to rip a couple Best Ball Manias tonight, at least one for sure, and then probably two. But I got some charts. I got some charts for the peeps. I've been wanting to show these for quite a while. I worked on this probably like 2 months ago, if I'm being honest. Shout out to Billy Jones, Big Brain Billy Jones. I should have linked his Twitter in the description, but he's the one that built these charts originally, at least the majority of it, and then I expanded on it. So let's pull it up. So this is advanced rate BBM Best Ball Mania 2, 3, 4, and 5. Right. This is just advanced rates. These are the usages on the different builds. Right. Reads pretty clear, I hope. So I expanded on this a little bit. I kind of averaged out the advance rate for each type of build over the last 4 years of Best Ball Mania. So looking at that, I was trying to kind of extrapolate the data into what builds. This is through 6 rounds. PS, this is through 6 rounds. So what builds through 6 rounds are optimal for advance rate, but which builds through 6 rounds, and then I also have it through 10, which we'll go through in a second here, then which builds through 6 rounds through 10 rounds are optimal for advance rates, and then which builds are also a little bit unique. That's kind of what I wanted to dive into, getting this information from Billy Jones and then extrapolating on it and building it out a little bit to kind of build my Best Ball Mania strategy, kind of build it around this thought process of what works, what has worked over the last 4 years. Best Ball Mania 1, like shout out Justin Herzig, but we can throw a lot of that, even 2, even 3, like it's getting more and more solved, even though it's completely unsolved, but we just have more data. So the more data you have, the more that we can, kind of make it work in our favor and hopefully, find some edges. Steve Schaub in the chat, appreciate you. Over on the Fanspeak, they just wrapped up Jeopardy. I think Candyman won that. Hopefully they pop in here and have a chat. We got Ben Haskell popping in. What's up, man? Appreciate you popping in. So let's look at it. What are the most common advance rates through 6 rounds, right? 1050 advances 18% of the time, 18.3, 1131, 18, almost 19%, which is the highest advance rate, 1140, right? 18, just over 18%, 1221, 18.6%, 123. Now, if we look at what's common and uncommon in these types of builds, what made you choose to do this first compared to other things you could focus on, build teams using data sets? I got like I said, I got the data, the main data, basically all of this from Billy Jones. And then I extrapolated on all of this. So this, and then obviously the color coding. I wanted to figure out what type of builds. I wanted to figure out how am I going to be building my Best Ball Mania teams because roster construction is by far, in my opinion, the most important, and draft capital. How you allocate your draft capital and your construction of your roster is the most important thing when drafting, in my opinion, especially for Best Ball Mania, where I'm putting a lot of focus. So what has worked in the past, and what do I think will work this year? So that's kind of what made me choose to do this first. And like I said, I did this about 2 months ago. I've been meaning to show it, but I wanted to have Billy Jones on, but it's just, I'm struggling to have enough time to make my own content. So here we are. So what's the most common? The most common start through 6 rounds across the last 4 years of Best Ball Mania is 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers. That is by a large margin, about 3% more than the next most common, which are 1-2-2-1, 0-2-3-1, 0-2-4-0. More than 3% more common is a 1-2-3 start. Not that like you can differentiate from there. And again, like, interestingly, the best start through 6 rounds as far as advance rate is concerned is a 1-1-4-0. So a little bit of a hero zero, right? Mostly hero, anchor, whatever the hell you want to call it, running back build. That's what has done the best over the last 4 years of Best Ball Mania. And it's about half as common as a 1-2-3 start, right? So that's something that I think is worth noting. So you could call that like, you can start that with, say, like, I don't know, on the turn, let's go Brian Thomas Jr. in the first round, Derrick Henry in the second round, Josh Allen in the third, and then 2 following wide receivers. That equals your 1-1-4-0. Again, the best correlated start for advanced rate and Best Ball Mania through 6 rounds, and half is common. So that's kind of something that I'm looking at doing. How do I want to build? Looking at these structures, like the 2 running backs. That's where I was really focusing on, is like, well, there's a couple things. What I was really focusing on is what has worked in the past and when. As we can see, right, it has it broken down year by year. So what do we know did not work last year? 0 RB did not work last year, right? So if you had 2 running backs through 6 rounds last year, you're almost like I don't know what the average would be, but 2% better chance, 2.5% better chance at advancing than the year prior, right? So then you look at the year prior, or one running back. You look at 1 running back builds, less, correlated to advance rate last year, but the year before, that was where the kind of money was, right? Same thing, 0 RB down here, right? Super correlated to advance rate in Best Ball Mania 4. But last year, you would have been dead, more or less, right? That's a massive difference, 12% roughly better chance of 0 RB 2 years ago to 0 RB last year, right? Massive, 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 massive difference. So what do I think is going to work this year? Number one, and then use it to correlate with the numbers right here. Okay, let's look at the chat again. We got Emo Cowboy. What's up, man? Appreciate you popping in here. What's your prediction for the 2 most common builds this year? Final builds? I'm not exactly as concerned about final builds as I have been using this data with through 6 rounds, and more importantly through 10 rounds, which we'll get to in a second here. Candyman, what's up, man? Appreciate you. I think you won Jeopardy tonight. Congrats. You better hope you don't see me in the semis. I won't put up that stalling. I won't put up with the stalling. 1-3-2-0 last year being the best last year checks out. Yep. 1-3-2-0 would have been the best for advance rate, but that's only for advance rate, right? I'm not saying we're not putting anything as far as like who won, who didn't, whatever. But yeah, advance rate, 3 running backs through 6 rounds was the money. The year before, we're looking at almost a 20% difference, 15 to 20% difference between Best Ball Mania 4 and Best Ball Mania 5. That's insane. So it was really the tale of two completely different 4 and 5 they couldn't be more different. Best Ball Mania 4 and Best Ball Mania 5 couldn't be any different as far as what worked and what won, right? That's what this chart is saying. So that's what I wanted to focus on, was what am I doing through 6 rounds? And then what am I doing through 10 rounds? And how do I get from 6 to 10, right? To make it make sense and add up. All the wide receiver injuries. Yeah, that was definitely part of it. Plus the running backs that went absolutely nuclear. No, I meant for the first 6 rounds or 10. Oh, so the most common is probably going to stay steadfast. Like, look at these are the most common through the last 4 years. So 1, 2, 3 is probably going to be the most common, or realistically, I think probably 0, 2, 4. 0, 2, 4, 0 is probably going to be the most common build through 6 rounds this year. I think. I could be wrong on that, but that's my prediction. It was more common last year. It's just in Best Ball Mania 4, it was so far and away the most common, right? But my prediction would be probably 0, 2, 4, 0 as far as most common through 6 rounds. Did you ask the 2 most common? I think 2 most common. So 0, 2, 4, 0 would be my prediction for the most common. And then probably 2 elite tight ends. Yeah, probably 0, 1, 4. I still think it would be 2 running backs. So probably 0, 2, 3, 1. Hard to say. Maybe 0, 3, 3, 0. Hard to say. But 0, 2, 4, 0 would be my prediction for the most common. Putt Daddy, what's happening, man? Appreciate you popping in here as always. Didn't injuries hurt the 0 RB strategy last year? I would say non-injuries hurt the 0 RB last year, right? We had Derrick Henry, we had Saquon Barkley, we had Bijan Robinson, we had Jahmyr Gibbs. We had all these top 3 round running backs just go nuts that a lot of people were avoiding. A lot of the sharps were avoiding, right? Lil Simo's popping in. Appreciate you, man. So yeah, looking at the data, how do I want to start? But more importantly, how do I want to look through 10 rounds? Because that's more important. And how do I get, because this is important, yes. But as we see through 10 rounds, which we get to here. So this is through 10 rounds, same data, BBM 5432, right? BBM 5432, most common builds, right? And then the advance rates on this side here. So by a long shot, the most common through 10 rounds is 1, 3, 5, 1. By so massive of an amount, it's the most common. Bully tight end, very uncommon, right? So 0, 3, 5, 2, very uncommon, right? 1, 4, 4, 1. I'm not sure what that's the second most, so kind of avoidable. Basically, I was saying I want to avoid 1, 3, 5, 1. It's the most balanced, yes. It's also just exceptionally the most common. And I think it's possible. It's not super likely. But it's possible we could see some duplicate teams through 10 rounds, right? It's only 10 rounds worth of data. And as far as ADPs are concerned, and people don't typically, at least I don't, and most people that draft pretty well, typically don't pull up more than a full round. You don't want to go more than 12 picks. There is a lot of data behind that. You can pull up a guy 9 picks, 10 picks, whatever you want, 11 picks, sure. Inside of the first 10 rounds. Outside of 10 rounds, you can kind of go nuts. You can kind of do whatever you want to do. And realistically, like I say all the time on stream, right? Through 10 rounds, you probably already know the final build that you're going to have. You may have one swing pick, maybe, but other than that, you're going to know, what your build is going to look like. Do we have this data on DK for the $2 million with what was released to the public? I don't know if they have this data. I have no idea. I don't play DK. I don't know if this data, like I got this data from Billy Jones. Well, a lot of it, not all of it, but a bunch of it from Billy Jones. He's released these charts on his Twitter. So go follow Billy Jones. I should have put his Twitter in the description, but I've shouted out Billy Jones lots. Big brain Billy Jones. Love the guy. Puts together charts like this all the time. So he's a great follow. And then I just extrapolated on his information, or the public information, essentially. So no, I don't have it for DK. I don't know if anybody does or not, but either way. So what's uncommon through 10 rounds that also kind of leans into what I think wins this year? And what I think wins this year, I think we get back to a little bit of a zero RB, more of a hero anchor. Whatever. I want to be building my most common way I want to be building through 10 rounds are these two: 1-4-5-0 and 2-4-4-0. Those are the two that I want to focus on. That's where I want to be through 10 rounds, the majority of my teams. Obviously, it's going to happen sometimes we're on 1-3-5-1, right? It's going to happen. But for the most part, I am pushing tight excuse me. For the most part, I am pushing tight end, right? I'm not drafting a lot. I'm not drafting 0 elite tight end, but I'm not drafting a ton either. So I'm pushing running backs a lot. So which starts through 6 rounds are going to enable me to get to 1-4-5-0, 2-4-4-0. That's kind of my focus. So 1-1-4-0 is pretty much the best way to go about it, right? 4 early wide receivers. That lets me get a nice stable of wide receivers, right? That's almost my entire lineup, realistically, right? You almost filled the entire lineup through 10 rounds, or through 6 rounds. And then you basically have through 10. You like literally have through 10. But these other builds are possible. They're on the table. Basically, what can I not do that will get me, take this off the table for me? And essentially, it's anything with a tight end, realistically. But I'm not drafting 0, elite tight end. That's for sure. I am drafting those types of teams. But, in certain builds and certain directions that I'm going, I am focusing on these types of builds. So what's the best advance rate build that you could possibly do through the last 4 years? 2-4-4-0. And that's only 2% of the time. Like 2% over the last 4 years of best ball, 2-4-4-0. And that's the best for advance rate over the last 4 years, which is fucking crazy considering 1-5-4-0 is the best. I'm wrong. 1-5-4-0. And if you're building that way, Godspeed. I'm not building that way. So it's kind of just off the table for me. And realistically, it just had the one spike week last year, or spike year last year. So I'm taking that off the board. So the second best number for advance rate is only 2% of the time. And I think you're a lot more live with a 2-4-4-0 than a 1-5-4-0 personally. So that's my big focus through 10. Like I've been saying a lot, I want to be done drafting quarterbacks as soon as possible. And I'm zigging where others are zagging. And I'm trying to stop at only 2 quarterbacks as often as I can. Same thing with tight end, but more importantly, it's quarterbacks for me. I find this is just an opinion base here. I find that if you get that, let's call it 9th to 11th round quarterback. Last year it was Joe Burrow. You get that 9th to 11th or 8th to 12th, whatever you want to call it. But if you get that quarterback right, you're good. That's what you need, right? Dak Prescott the year before, Joe Burrow last year, right? You get that quarterback right, you're going to go far. That's kind of what it boils down to. And then you have your other guy. If you get them both right, then great, right? Like if you had Dak Prescott and Joe Burrow and I don't know, Bo Nix last year, you would have been great. There's all kinds of examples. So go nuts. But regardless, like that's my big focus is how do I get to a 2.440? How do I get there? Then I'm done at quarterback. I'm in great shape at running back, and my wide receivers are in a pretty good spot too. So that's what this data is kind of leading me to. There's a couple other options here. 2.350, that's fine. That's another great advance rate. 1.540 is like where I would draw the line. I don't even want to be building like that particularly, but that's the third best advance rate structure through 10 rounds. Third best behind 1.540, 2.440, and then 1.450. So obviously drafting running backs early correlates to advance rate. We know that. Same with quarterbacks. You draft 3 somewhat elite quarterbacks. You draft 3 quarterbacks inside the first 10 rounds and 3 running backs. You're probably advancing. But like, I don't exactly care about advance rate. Like, yes, you got to get there, but give me like, 20 something % advance rate. And I'm fine with that. If I can get in the 30s, great. Like, I think 2 years ago, I was like 31%. And then last year I was like 28%. So give me high 20s% advance rate with my structures. And I'm happy with that. I'm not too worried about it. And I want to have the potential of elite weekly outputs. And how do I think that that's possible? 2 quarterbacks, and then you take more shots at running back, wide receiver, and tight end. So that's kind of the data that I've been working with and the structures and builds that I've been working with and just where I want to get to and why. Like, if you ask me, it's pretty sound. Like, what's a high advance rate that I deem, a strategy that I think can win the whole tournament? And for me, the best way to go about it would be to start 1.140 through 6 rounds and then get to 2.440 through 10 rounds. So draft your wide receivers early, get your anchor running back, your hero running back, draft wide receivers early, and then get 2 quarterbacks before round 10. Fill it out with some running backs, and then you should be in good shape as long as you're able to hit the late round tight ends as well. At least one of them. Holy moly, something in my throat here. So that's what I've been focusing on. That's what I've been, this is the chart I've been using. This is one that I built. Shout out to Billy Jones with a lot of his data. And then I just kind of built off of it. So yeah, that's kind of what I've been focusing on, what I've been doing. Just 5 builds, average 5% or more. That's kind of wild. Yeah. Because again, it's so like narrow to the 1.351 because everybody's scared to not have a quarterback. Everybody's scared to not have a tight end. Everybody wants that balanced build. But the reality is like, it's too common that there could be some duplicate, through 10 round lineups. There really could. Like, I was shocked to see this. And that means I do not want to be building that way. That's how I look at it, especially because it's really not that correlated for advance rate. Or it's not that great for advance rate, right? Like you go elite bully tight end 1.342, and you have the same advance rate basically through the last 4 years as a 1.351. So I just don't understand why you would ever want to build that way. Like I'm sure of it. I do it. I see it all the time. And every time I see a 1.351, I cringe to myself because I'm like, oh, I know better. I don't want to do that. I really don't. It feels nice. It feels nice and warm and fuzzy inside. But the reality is it's not a great structure through 10 rounds. It's really not. So that's something I've tried to, focus on and keep an eye on. 1.360, right? That's another quality type of build, quality type of start. And it's pushing the 5% right there, right? So again, 2.440 through 10 rounds, only 2% of the time. And realistically, taking this one out, the 1540, it's the best advance rate structure through 10 rounds. So that's what we're trying to do. That's what we're trying to do. Not sure if this is actionable as the league changes. There are far more viable tight ends and running backs this year. I mean, it depends on what you think wins. What do you think is going to win? Who can spike? What structure, what type of builds do you think is going to win this year? I think that one running back through 6 rounds, essentially, one running back through 6 rounds, and 4 running backs through 10 rounds, late tight ends. I think there's a bunch of new value at wide receiver. Now I think there's some value at wide receiver. There is some good value at running back still as well. I don't necessarily need 4. I shouldn't say like that's 100%. Like I do think that builds like this 1-3-6-0, I think is a great build as well. So I'm trying to mix it up, but regardless, what I'm trying to do is stay away from the 1-3-5-1. I'm trying to stay away from that build. I just think, again, it's by far the most common. It is not correlated to advance rate. And there could be some duplicate lineups through 10 rounds. So what do you think is gonna win? That's what I think is gonna win. Hero, anchor, RB, whatever you want to call it. Push running back, push tight end, push wide receiver right now. Like I very, very much, I've been saying it all draft season. I do not want to get uncomfortable at quarterback. I do not, and I will not. So that's my main focus is I want to be done drafting quarterbacks at a certain time in the draft, essentially. 14th round is by far the longest I want to be getting my last quarterback. Like, the Tua, sometimes maybe an Aaron Rodgers, maybe a Geno, guys like that, maybe a Sam Darnold, maybe as my third. And in those cases, it's because I need 3 quarterbacks. But beyond that, like I would like to be done at 2 quarterbacks, and I would like to be done by round 12 max. You know what I mean? Depending on who the 2 are. But so again, it's actionable as far as what you think is going to win. Do you think it's going to be, let's look at round 6 or through 6 rounds again, right? So last year, 3 running backs through 6 rounds crushed. You had a 1 in 3 chance of advancing almost, right? It's smashed, right? But the year before, it would have been terrible. 1 in 10, 1 in 1.5, times sort of thing. Not even 1 in 10, basically, like 1 in 10 chance of advancing the year before. So it was the tale of 2 completely different tournaments, right? Same thing. You go up here, 0 RB last year. You did not advance, basically. You did not advance at all. But the year before, you would have crushed. Again, 2 in 10 chance, right? 1 in 5. 1 in 5 chance of advancing. So it depends on, again, like, do what I say, don't do what I say. I don't really care. Like, do whatever you want to do. Just whatever you think is going to win, like, build off of that. That's why I took this data down and said, okay, what do I think is actually going to win? And then kind of built it from there. So I think all of these in green are viable starts through 6. I think all of these in green are viable starts in green or through 10 rounds here. The ones in yellow are kind of, I don't hate, I don't love sort of thing. And then this one, I do not like at all. So let's mark that in red. I do not like 1-3-5-1. I don't. So, and then this chart is basically like, how do I get there? How can I start through 6 to get me to these different starts? Because I think these are the most viable starts through 10 rounds. So how can I start through 6 to get me there through 10? And what do I think can win? So I'm not saying like, do as I say, because I'm so right. I'm saying, what do you think wins? And use this data to help you out potentially. At volume, anything above 25% advance rate is very good. 30% great. 40% elite. 100%. Like, Yeah. Yeah. Average is what, like 18%? So yeah, if you're in the 20s, you're doing pretty good. If you're high 20s, you're doing quite good. If you're in the 30s, you're extremely good. 40% is definitely elite advance rate for sure. And then above, anything 35% and up is pretty fucking elite as far as advance rate's concerned. I just don't like DK. I don't have a big enough bankroll where I need to spread it out to multiple sites, and I like to focus on one style. It's half PPR. I like the app. I like the interface on computer. I just like Underdog a ton more. I don't like DK, so that's why I don't. Why will anchor RB win if RBs hit the flex more and there are more viable spike RBs? It would seem like double anchor is a minimum. Hey, if that's what you again, I'm not telling you what to do. Whatever you think wins, draft that way. Like, I'm not telling you what to do or how you should or shouldn't draft. I'm telling you what I'm doing, and I'm telling you why I'm doing it. So again, do what I say, don't do what I say. I don't care what you do. Just whatever you think wins, make it make sense. Like, yeah, double RB could definitely make sense. That would still let me get to my 2440, right? I have two viable starts essentially, more 1, 2, 3, but that's also not a great start through 6 as we found. Where to go? 1, 2, 3. Where's 1, 2, 3? Jeez, there we go. It's just it's just common. It's just common. So 1, 2, 3, right, is a viable start as far as you're concerned, Terrence, which is fine by me. I think it's a viable start as well. It would let me get to any of these viable starts through 10. So it's fine. Go double anchor, double RB, right? You could go, as far as I'm concerned, right? Go Ashton Genty, Devon Achan, Josh Allen, and then take 3 straight wide receivers, and you're still going to end up in the same spot, right? It's all about draft allocation, right? It's about draft capital, draft allocation, and then structure built on top of that. So whatever you think is going to work, whatever you think is going to win, that's what you should do. Plus extremely weak wide receiver class. I just think it's like kind of spaced out. It is weaker, but there's going to be 1 or 2 that spike for sure. We just don't exactly know who they are. That's the big difference, in my opinion, between this year's wide receiver class and most other years. Most other years, we have that top tier, high caliber wide receiver 1, 2, 3, whatever, depending on how strong the class is. This year, it's not that strong, but there's going to be someone or 1 or 2 rookie wide receivers that really pop. We just, again, don't know who they are. We will maybe through 4 weeks of the season. Past results in gambling. It's all we can do. It's all we can look at is past results and data. I can easily imagine a powerful 1-3-5-1. Sure. Average advance rate is 16.7. Yeah, I thought it was more. So there you go. My slow down my issue with Steve, I have a 1-3-5 start. It feels comfortable, right? Like, yeah, you're going to say, imagine a powerful, it's going to feel good. You're going to feel balanced. You're going to feel great. And I don't blame you. And I'm not saying I don't ever draft 1-3-5-1, because I definitely do. I'm just saying it's exceptionally common, and it has not resulted in a massive advance rate through the last 4 years of Best Ball Mania. That's all I'm saying. Build however the hell you want, man. Like, again, I'm not going to stand on my soapbox and tell you guys what to do out here. I'm just telling you what I'm doing. I would say that for other tournaments with better advance rate, I wouldn't take this data as the answer. No, this is a BBM. Obviously, it's all about Best Ball Mania. You could put this with puppies. There you go. Steve said, yeah, BBM puppies. You could do this with puppies. You could do this with Best Ball Mania. For smaller, fields, definitely this does not correlate. The smaller fields are completely different advance rates. And I think even Steve said that. Yeah, different advance rates and completely different tournaments. This is for BBM, and I guess you could definitely say puppies as well. Yeah, there you go. This is historical data for BBM advance rate per team builds. Yes, that's what this is. Through 10 rounds, and then this is through 6 rounds. So advance rate, and then the percentage of these types of builds, of these each builds, is what this is. So 3.7% of the time, people started 1, 2, 6, 1 through 10 rounds. And this is the average for the last 4 years, is right here. This is the average advance rate through the last 4 years. This is the advance rate per Best Ball Mania, 5, 4, 3, 2, right? That's how it reads. Yes, last 4 years. Yeah. So that's what I'm doing. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not saying I'm right. I never say I'm right, you're wrong. That's how it's going to be. That's just what I'm doing. That's what I'm focusing on. That's what the data says works or doesn't work. And I'm building it into how I'm drafting. Whoa, what's going on here? What is that? What was that? See if we can. There we go. I'm building it into how I'm drafting, right? That's what I'm doing. So let's jump into a Best Ball Mania. 20-second clock. Jump into a Best Ball Mania. If you want to get in, we're waiting on 6. I'm going to set my Best Ball overlay. Shout out Best Ball overlay. Link in the description. Promo code OTS gets you $10 off, 25%. We got the 10 spot. We got Lolsimo in here. Lolsimo, Mr. Mufasa at the 8 spot. If you're in here and you're lurking, let me know. Or don't. Lolsimo pulls the 1. Good for him. We're at the 10. So I'm not saying I'm even going to start this draft like that. I could start this draft 1, 3, 5, 1. Not likely with where I'm picking, but I could. I wouldn't feel great about it, but I could. Punt tight end looks good. I think so too. I really I do want some exposure to both Brock Bowers and Trey McBride. Let's see where I'm at on both of them. 8% in Best Ball Mania and 14% Trey McBride. I'm only 1.5% Kittle, and I need to get that up. I definitely need to get a little more. I would like to be probably at field or maybe a little below on Kittle, 6 to 8% probably. Field is 8%. If you don't know, the field average is 8% of a player. So I'm happy to be at field with Brock Bowers. That's exactly where I want to be. I probably will not get any higher than 8%. I will very purposefully not be any higher than the field on Brock Bowers. But I do like Trey McBride's price, especially because I draft him a lot with those Bengals. Anytime I'm drafting Bengals, I probably get Trey McBride a lot of times, if not Harrison. But yeah, I'm punting tight end for the most part. My highest exposed tight end by a good margin is Cade Otton, 26%. And he's literally like the last kind of viable tight end on the list, at least one of them. Like pretty much literally. Too much Mason Taylor right now, but we'll see where that lands. So yeah, that's what we're doing. Your volume and bankroll dictates your builds, and entries is the biggest thing in my opinion. I mean, it definitely dictates your entries. I'm not sure it dictates your builds. Like, why would my bankroll dictate my build? That doesn't necessarily make sense to me. I'm going to do something different in this one because I've been thinking about it the last little bit, and I'm going to do it. So we're going to pull up Drake London. Let's see if this kind of works the way I envisioned it when I was thinking about it. Neighbors at 12 feels really good. And it's going to be unique. It's definitely going to be unique. I just came here to witness you draft Chuba, Josh Palmer, Ioman, our Canadian super team. And then we're going to go Tyreek. So we're going to pull up. We're going to flip the board a little bit with London Tyreek. I don't think there's a lot of starts like that. I highly doubt it. So that's what we're going to do. Yeah, I'm not drafting Ioman really at all. Chuba, yeah. Palmer, definitely, yeah. Yeah, but that's probably not going to happen. Kittle is too expensive now. Yeah, that's what's making it tough. But I do, if he's still going at the 3-4 turn here, you can get Kittle with DJ Moore as DJ Moore gets less expensive, right? His ADP is kind of falling a little bit. I'm kind of really thinking that's what I want to do a lot of is try to get some Kittle DJ Moore. But you're not wrong. He is getting pretty pricey, and I'm not loving that. I probably should have been clicking him a little more earlier, but it is what it is. So having an elite player at each position in the early rounds is historically correct based on the data. No, actually, because 1-3-5-1 would lend to this being true. And that was not very highly correlated as far as advance rate. It was like 6th or 7th most, or best advance rate. So I would say no. I mean, draft good players on good teams, but his old price is more viable. I 100%, man. On Kittle, I'm sure we're talking about there. Cade Otton and Romeo Dobbs are the kings of win sprints. I mean, Cade Otton is just a quality player. Again, it's the cost. He's literally the last tight end down there that's really viable. So that's why I click him a lot. Plus, I do a lot of Tampa Bay. I do a lot of Miami, that sort of thing. I'm focused on that game a ton. So I'm drafting a lot of Cade Otton. Build the same thing for 8K entries? No. Again, I'm building, I literally highlighted like 6 different build types through 6 and through 10 rounds and said I'm even building ways that I don't want to. So no. Laporta seems like more of a value now. Yeah, he definitely needs to still fall though. Like my problem with Laporta is the Hawkinson. Like that's my problem with Laporta. He should be going closer to Hawkinson. I don't think Hawkinson should move up, but I think Laporta should move down closer to Hawkinson. That's how I feel about it. Let's focus in here for this pick. I do want to even out some exposures a little bit. I do want to think a little bit about correlation. Future correlation, I should say. Let's do Hampton. He's continuing to rise, and I want to make sure I get enough. I'm only at 4.4%. That is not enough. That is not nearly enough, really. So I need to jack that up a little bit. And I think he's going to rise into definitely probably the 2-3 turn, potentially. I think he probably flips Kyron as people hate him. And we'll see if this drumbeat continues for Braylon Allen, and it might hurt Breece Hall's ADP. So we'll see how that goes. But I want to make sure I get enough of him right now. And to me, what's the difference between taking him at 34 and 39 realistically? Because I'm going to get one of these wide receivers that I want and I like anyways. So it's not the end of the world. I think it's Worthy here. Another guy that's going to continue to rise. He's going to flip Rice. So let's try that. Again, I do need to get more exposure to Worthy as well. What the room gives you dictates your bills technically. Absolutely. Yeah. That's why, again, I'm going to have a lot of 1-3-5-1 builds. I just don't like that I won't be extremely happy that I'm doing it and that it's happening. But if I'm getting value and the room dictates it, then yeah, I'm going to do it. So through 75 BBMs, I have a total of 3 shares of Bowers, McBride, and Kittle combined. I like to push tight end for elite wide receivers and anchor RB. Don't hate it. I mean, that's a bold bet. That's a bold bet. Like I've said before, and I'll say again, like if you give me a tight end that you can guarantee me has, a Travis Kelce type of season, if you can guarantee me out of my tight end spot, 1,200, not even this 1,300, but 11 to 1,200 yards and 10 touchdowns from my tight end, I will draft one tight end and I will not draft a second on every single one of my teams. So it's pretty risky. It's pretty risky. If we get some positive regression for Trey McBride touchdown wise, if Bowers is exactly what he is, but he gets into the end zone 3 more times this season, Kittle's done both of those things just in separate seasons. So if he puts it together this year, then that's going to really hurt your portfolio. So again, like that's why I'm not doing 0 at these guys, but I don't want to be too much above the field. Like realistically, I probably have a little too much Trey McBride, but his price is way more palatable than Brock Bowers personally. So it's risky. Do you believe Judkins is done? No, he'll probably get the 6 games that, Michael Hall, exact same situation, teammate, second round pick from last year, same team. Like he'll probably get 6 games, maybe like 8. So no, I don't think he's done. I just think it's questionable. It's certainly, I'm not drafting him until it settles, but I had a pretty big bag. I like Judkins a lot. So I had a pretty big bag of him. I think I'm still at about 18%. Well, let's look while I focus up for my pick anyways. I've got, down to 17.6% Judkins now. So I want that down to like, I don't know, single digits before I start clicking them again without knowing, what's happening with them. So we'll see, but I'm not clicking them right now. I'll tell you that much. Weird spot. Roma Dunze is one of my highest drafted players. Definitely a weird spot. Let's take Rome. I really don't like it, but let's take Roma Dunze. I really don't want to continue to add shares. But man, I just think he's such a value down here. I really, really do. He's such a smash for me where he's going. So let's just get another share. Let's just get another share, I guess. Oh man, it would have been Henderson too. I would have pulled up Henderson, not pulled up, but I would have drafted Henderson there. I don't think this is a good price for Caleb. He's rising, which I don't love, and I don't think it's a great price. I don't think it's a great price. Let's just take Juwan Jennings. Let's take Juwan Jennings to pair up with our Roma Dunze. I only have 4.4% Jennings. On the field, one of the only healthy 49ers on the field right now. They're wide receiver 1, so let's do that. You said earlier bankroll and volume didn't matter, though. All right, I'm kind of confused with what we're talking about here. I said my bankroll. What? I don't know what you're talking about. Quid pro quo. Quid pro quo. I'm not really sure where we're going with this. I have Judkins off my board at the moment. May sprinkle him in if he falls to round 14 or lower with no news. Yeah, he's off my board for now as well. Again, I have a bit of a bag. Yes, this is a Best Ball Mania. Bindles, what's up, man? I think Candyman won tonight, unfortunately. I was rooting for you. Pretty bold strategy for you to just give the board to him. I don't think that was a good strategy, if I'm being honest. Should have went with the coin flip at least. Just saying. Sorry, I had to go back and watch the beginning. I thought I saw having a 1-1-3-1 was the best through 6, but it's 1-1-4-0. Yeah. I mean, I don't remember. My favorite is 1-1-4-0 is my favorite start through 6 rounds. But we're through 6 rounds and I'm 0-1-5-0. So again, I'm not going to it's not going to be the firmest rule I've ever made in my entire life. But I do want to try to avoid certain structures. And when it makes sense, then I will push to have certain structures when it makes sense. Just notice the Bengals backdrop makes sense. Here we go. Gotcha. I was watching Fantasy Points last night and they said Henderson goes higher than RJ and Caleb in Dynasty, but in Best Ball, RJ goes higher. Pretty interesting. That makes sense to me. That makes sense to me for sure. I had Trevion Henderson as my running back 1 over Ashton Genty, but that was a long-term take. That was basically a dynasty kind of a take. That was a real NFL take, right? So I would agree with that for sure. For sure. I think long term, Henderson's going to be the best running back in this class long term. So in Dynasty, it makes sense. I'm waiting till August to finish my 75 BBMs. We need another contest drop soon. I feel you, man. I mean, like, that's something that's kind of annoying me right now is everybody's complaining about there's not a cheaper contest. Like, there's so much to draft right now. We're spoiled for choice. Like, there's so many options to draft right now. Let's kind of just take advantage of that, you know? But maybe that's just me. I mean, I have volume that I got to get in. Best Ball Mania, Sprint, Eliminator. I want to get a couple more weekly winners. So, yeah. Let's bring in a Mecha Igbuka. In a perfect world, the 49ers hire Keenan Cheap and bye Jennings. If you're a Niners fan? I don't think they should even think about getting rid of Jennings. I really don't think they should do that at all. If it were me, I really, really would not do that. But they might. They might. They might sign Jennings or Keenan Allen regardless and still keep Jennings because they're getting thin at wide receiver. Cowing went off today. Like, they're kind of falling like flies right now. Now we're going to bring in Baker, who's one of my favorite clicks. So this is kind of what I was setting up. I don't necessarily think I wanted to start this heavy at wide receiver, but it's kind of just how she went. So we're pairing up our Tampa Bay with a unique pairing in week 15 in Drake London and a unique pairing in week 17 with Tyreek Hill. So that's kind of the thought process I went down the other day. In my head, I was kind of thinking maybe Josh Allen would be there in round 3. So I would take Josh Allen, but he went at 30. He went a little earlier. And then I could get my 2 quarterbacks through 10 rounds and feel really comfortable about that. But we'll see. I might try this build again. Because Drake London and Tyreek Hill, like, I really don't think anyone would be super shocked if Tyreek Hill went back to being a top 3 wide receiver. I don't think anyone would be shocked. I wouldn't. And I wouldn't be shocked whatsoever if Drake London becomes a top 5 type of wide receiver this year. I have him ranked as a top 10 pick. Actually, I think I have him literally 10th, maybe 11th, but I have him ranked as a first rounder. So this is just kind of a way to get a little bit unique and then build out some correlation with some unique high-end pieces. So now I'm going to have to catch up at running back for sure. But that's okay. I think I can. I know I can do that. I'm not too worried about it. Usually the winning lineup is created in June, July. What do you think of it going into this season? I mean, there's no usually anything, man. Like the winners, I think each year the winner's been drafted different times, different months. So, and like who, what was the second place team? What month was that team drafted in? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to stop drafting Best Ball Mania thinking I'm not going to stop drafting any tournament thinking that it's already been won. Right. Or I'm not going to go into any draft thinking it's already been won. Right. Like, that's just not what I'm doing. So yeah, I'm not too worried about it. Like, I think like a lot of sharp people want to wait until they have as much information as possible, which is a absolutely fine strategy. So I like to kind of draft as the contest fills, which is basically where I'm at right now. I'm just under 50%. The contest is basically just under 50%. So I feel good about that. We're going to do Caleb, bring him in with our Rome. Juwan Jennings is the bring back. That's fun. Done at quarterback. I will not be drafting a third. I will not be drafting a third quarterback on this team. It will not be Judkins with this pick. That's for sure. I'd like to get my numbers up on Njoku. Scatterboo would have been the pick for sure. So that kind of hurts. Could do Charbonnet, but I don't really like it. Let's do Tyler Warren. No, let's do Evan Ingram for the Xavier Worthy correlation. And I do need to get my numbers up on Evan Ingram anyways. So yeah, 7%. Okay, right at the fields where I'd like to be. Pair him up with Worthy. I like the bye week for tight end because I can avoid that quite easily. So let's do that. Through 10 rounds, 2-1-6-1. Not sure where that fell on the charts, but definitely different. Definitely different. When was last year's team drafted? Yeah, I'm not sure. To be honest, I don't really care if I'm being honest. Like I'm going to draft when I'm in a draft. I like getting more information as we get into camp, which is where we're at now. I still have 80, 79 after we're finished this Best Ball Mania, 79 Best Ball Manias to draft. And I like having as much information as possible. I also like trying to beat the news, right? Which is what we're doing anytime we're drafting before training camp. OTAs will give us some news, right? So, information is key and data is key. Not interested in sprint or marathon or the weekly winners. Also waiting for August to finish out my eliminators. Yeah, that's all fair. I'd like to get some sprint volume up. I'll probably wait on weekly winners. Probably wait on eliminators as well, actually. But sprints, I'd like to get a little bit more volume. I'm not in a hurry right now. It's kind of where I'm at personally. So I'm okay with just ripping a BBM or two a day. Realistically, like as far as the numbers are concerned, I got to drop like 2 or 3 Best Ball Manias every day until the end of draft season. So that'll be good enough for me to get my volume in. And then, I'm sure there'll be other tournaments that come in. So Dolphins secondary rivals only that of middle school JV secondary. Yeah, that's a big reason why I like Miami and I like Tampa Bay, right? I think that game is going to be a shootout. So that's my biggest focus. One of my biggest focus games, and it has been all draft season because I thought that the Miami defense was going to be a pile of hot shit all season. And here we are. All it took was them trading Jalen Ramsey, which we knew was going to happen. So now Artie Burns torn ACL, like he came in anyways. He basically came in off the street and then, tears his ACL. So that sucks that Colston Loveland goes. That's definitely who I wanted to draft. But that's okay. That is okay. Pretty concerned with Najee right now. He's kind of off my board as well. As we sit here today, definitely looking really good at wide receivers. So definitely not a focus. Quarterback, I'm done. So I can just get rid of that. We are going to pull up. We're going to pull up Ray Davis. Now let's go Bayshall. Let's go Bayshall too. And I kind of have to take a gamble that he's going to be a guy. Like who's more likely to be the RB1 on their team without injury, Ray Davis or Bayshall Tootin? For me, it's Bayshall Tootin. Kind of no question. Who might have more fantasy points and be more valuable throughout the season? Probably would say Ray Davis. But I got to take a swing here. And I might still be able to get Ray Davis. We'll see. 1-3-5-1 start. Feels good, right? Mark Andrews, Jaden Daniels, some good running backs. Feels good. But yeah, we just need to catch up at running back here a little bit. So Ray Davis does fall to us. We're going to go Ray Davis. Easy pick. Easy click. Let's do that. Allows us to catch up a little bit. That's just all we want to do realistically is catch up a little bit at RB. If you're drafting like you're right, that's too many wide receivers. It is what it is. It's just kind of what the board gave to me. Like, yeah, maybe I should have went Trevion Henderson here. I was hoping he'd fall to me here at 63, and I would have taken him over Juwan Jennings, but maybe I should have just taken Henderson at 58. That's probably the correct click. But again, I think that 0RB wins. I really do. Or like anchor hero RB. If Hampton's that guy, then I should be in good shape. If there's some injuries, if there's some madness that happens, which I do expect. I think we're going to bounce back to a couple years ago when 0RB, hero RB, that sort of stuff, anchor RB, that was what was winning. That's just my take. Like, so I don't mind starts like this. I really don't. Like, piss yellow to start, get yourself a running back in there, finish up at quarterback, and then fill out the rest of your roster. Honestly, anyone having less than 70% of the 75% of their BBM entries done before August is just degenning. Yeah, a little bit. Some guys are already maxed out, which is kind of wild. Last year's, I think, was drafted when the contest was 95% full. There you go. There you go. I'm at 90 BBMs done. Feels a little heavy, but maybe right on par. Yeah, you're a little bit ahead of the field, but that's fine. Or ahead of fill rate, I should say. But that's fine. It's all about how you think, where you think an edge is. Like, I like to just follow essentially, not necessarily, like I kind of want to be half done roughly when training camp opens. Because now we get a whole bunch of information and things will change. Not only can change, but it will change, right? So you have to have some entries to be able to, and there'll be injuries too. That's the other thing, is there'll be some major injuries. We're on a countdown right now for the first, major blow injury-wise, because it is coming. It will come. Who's it going to be? I don't know. So, and then you have to adjust from there. You really, really must adjust from there. So, let's do, I don't really like this spot very much at all. Let's do Jalen Wright, a little Miami thing going on. Which again, like if the team's defense is a big pile of shit, I like the offensive players, i.e. Bengals last year. 2 years ago, the winner was drafted when the contest was 95+%. Last year was in June. It's all good. Also love the Tampa Bay Miami game and have a lot of HN for my anchor RB. I like that. I need to actually get my numbers up on HN. I do not have enough. I'm only 7%. I do not have enough HN. That is for sure. I'm going to go Tank Bigsby here. I want to give myself a couple shots at the Jacksonville running back room. I'm 0% ETN again this year. So if I'm doing that, then I have to be on the other two, which I am. So if I can guarantee myself the Jacksonville running back points, that's kind of what we're looking at here. $2,673 is what we're looking at, almost certainly. 2,673. Najee is on my board in the 140s, 50s. I just want some clarity, man. I really want to. I want to see him. I want some clarity. I want to see a picture. I want to see him do an interview. I want a video. I want something of Najee. I want to see his face. Like, I want to see his face is what I want before I draft him again. That's where I'm at. What's the first thing you're doing if you win BBM? I don't know. First thing I do, like financially. I don't know. I'd wait a little while. Maybe go on vacation. I'd go on a vacation. That's what I'd do. First thing. Yeah. We'll have a newborn baby. Go on vacation. Nice vacation. That's what I would do. I have some other plans for what I would do, but that's probably the first thing. Hardman, what's up, man? Appreciate you popping in here. Winner last year was drafted June 20th. There we go. Drafted my second BBM June 19th. So you're saying there's a chance. There you go. There's always a chance. You gotta play the lottery to win the lottery. Having a little hiatus in 2 weeks due to birth of baby, so I had to get a little ahead to be fair, but still feel like I have enough bolts to catch the camo and preseason swings. Nice. Yeah, shout out. I have baby number 1 on the way. So, camp and preseason swings. Our due date is until after the season starts, so I'll have time, more than enough time to get everything I need in, and then a couple weeks of the season, and then baby will be here. Drafting early is the way to go. First thing I do for one BBM, disappear. Yeah. Like, yeah. I probably wouldn't tell my family if I'm being honest. Like, I probably wouldn't tell my family. Obviously, like, it'd be pretty impossible for me to hide from it on my fake life in the Twitter machine and YouTube and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I would probably try to keep it as anonymous or as faceless. I probably would tell as little amount of people in my real life as possible. So we'll see. That'd be a good problem to have. I'm not too worried about it yet. Nice. Congrats, man. Congrats. New dads. That's where it's at. The winning the BBM, and there would be only around 6 people who, I don't even know if there'd be that many for me. Like, I would keep it literally as low key as humanly possible. I wouldn't probably even tell my family. I don't know. I don't know if I would. Like, lots of people again on Twitter and stuff like that would know. Let's just get our Kate Otten. We need that kind of double stack, especially with the double bring back Miami. Let's get Kate Otten, lock him in. We're good there. But yeah, a lot of people in the online world would know, but my real life would be pretty minimal. I'd tell close family and the entire internet. Yeah, I mean, again, if you're like on Twitter and pretty active on Twitter and stuff like that, like, it'd be pretty hard to like slide by without anybody knowing. Let's just do Gesicki here. That feels really all right. Got 2 Miami players. That feels all right. Bye weeks don't overlap. That's a really quality tight end room. And this is why I'm not drafting a lot of elite tight ends, if I'm being honest. Like, yes, they have higher ceilings. That's for sure. But it's not by a crazy amount. And if you like look at the draft capital, that's the biggest difference. Like, I mean, like Evan Ingram. Jesus, if I could spell. Evan Ingram, right, led the 114 catches, 900 yards, 176 points, right, 2 years ago. Who's to say he can't get back to that, right? Looking at Kittle, basically his entire career before last year, like, yeah, he kind of spiked with a couple extra tight ends or touchdowns there, but 170 points realistically. And he's always been going up here, maybe not quite third round, but he's always been going around there. Like, yeah, you could say Bowers, 200 points. Like, I don't know. I just don't think it makes a lot of sense to really prioritize elite tight end. That's just how I feel about it. But I mean, I could be wrong on that. That's just my opinion, and that is how I'm drafting and building. So, yeah, a tight end room like this, considering the draft capital and the draft allocation, like, give me this type of a room, especially 13 pick fall on Gesicki feels pretty good. Couple picks on Ingram, cool, but a full round on Gesicki, yeah, that feels pretty all right to me. This is a fun team. Obviously, my running back room is a touch on the precarious side, but it is what it is. It is what it is. We're done at tight end for sure. Do what Chesley did and make it into your entire personality. Yeah, I mean, he'll definitely remind you that he won it if you If you ask or disagree, he'll remind you pretty quickly. That's so weird with Najee. No one said nothing, no photos, no videos. That's what I'm saying. Like, he's like fucking Michael Jackson's kids. Like, I need to see him in person. I need to see a video. I need to see him. We're going to go Brashard Smith. You got some positive news today. He's my highest drafted player. Let's just keep leaning in on that. I got a little Kansas City correlation. Let's lean in on it. You know, week 10 bye helps our room. I like it. We've got the bring back. LA, you know, let's just lean in on that. I'm going to keep going down that road. Coker could make some sense with our Tampa Bay. 4%. Okay, I could get a little more Coke in my life. Yeah, let's just do it. Let's do Coker. Okay. Interesting build. I think you can do some damage. But yeah, like, it's Michael Jackson's kids out there, man. Like, show us your face. I want to see what we're working with here. They're hiding them. Like, I want to see what this superficial damage looks like. Like, you know, I don't think I'm alone on that. If I can't get Bowers, McBride, or Kittle, I'm probably going 3 tight ends. Me too. Absolutely. Unless it's like Laporta and Hawkinson. Like, that would be kind of the only other route. Maybe Andrews, Hawkinson, Andrews, Laporta, something like that. Like, it's close, but there's some other builds that I would go 2 tight ends, but not a lot. Not a lot. I love elite tight end on DK, more specifically Bowers and McBride, who both had 100 plus receptions, full point PPR. Yeah, plus you get the bonuses for 100 yards, stuff like that. So, like, it's different. It's completely different on DraftKings. That's another reason why I don't draft over there. It's just completely different than Underdog, really. So I want to focus on Underdog, put all my energy in Underdog. I like it a million times more than DK. So that's why I don't draft over there. Someone asked earlier in the show. He will remind you if you don't ask it. Fully agree. Yeah, exactly. That's why my elite tight end count is low. Kittle is the one I may dip down a few more shares. Fair enough. I don't disagree. If Laporta bounces back to his form this year, I'm toast. It's hard for me to click him in that range over the wide receivers, running backs. I agree. That's why he needs to fall. He needs to fall into the low 80s, like to the what is that? 6-7 turn, 7-8 turn. 7-8 turn. He needs to fall down here. He's in the, like, what is he, 74, something like that. He went pick 70 here, right? He needs to go 10 picks later, like 80. He needs to be in the 80s is how I feel about Laporta. I am clicking him a little bit here and there to get correlation and things like that. I don't want to zero. He could bounce back. That team could be a lot worse. They could have to pass more, score more points. There's all kinds of, outcomes there. So I'm not trying to be a zero on Laporta, but I'm also below the field, and I really just need, I've only clicked him when he's fallen, and I need his price to fall, get more palatable for us. Bauer scored more than Ladd, and you get to flip your tight end position, where any of the third round receivers, you can score the same as Ladd. Like, I don't really want to have this conversation again. This is the most common thing everybody says about Bowers is he's a wide receiver, but he takes up your tight end spot. I know. I just kind of disagree with it. Like, I get it, but I disagree with it. Like, I'm not drafting Ladd either. So if you're using Ladd as an example, or even AJ Brown, I'm not drafting a lot of Ladd, and I have 0 AJ Brown. So, like, if you tell me Brock Bowers is going to outscore Tyreek Hill, I disagree with you. If you're telling me Brock Bowers outscores T. Higgins, sure, I could probably get on board with that. Garrett Wilson, Devontae, yeah, I could probably get on board with that. But I just don't think it makes sense for the draft allocation. I really don't. Like, I don't want to go down this road again. If I'm being honest, Nick, I'm sorry. But I've been down this road many times. You betcha. Best ball on call. Agree 100%. I did the 2 millies for one and stopped there. Yeah, I'm just not doing it. Even for free entries, I'm not doing it. Him and Hawks should be back to back 100%. Said that same thing earlier in the show. That's what I think. He needs to fall closer to Hawkinson. That's why I don't take him. I have almost double the amount Hawkinson that I do Laporta. So he needs to fall closer to Hawkinson, and then I'll start clicking him a little more. Offenses that you're low on, that most people are high on. For me, I'm low on Bears, Patriots, and Rams. I'm low on the Chiefs. I'm lower on the Chiefs than most, except for Brashard Smith. I'm super high on the Bears, personally. I mean, I'm pretty neutral as far as Patriots and Rams are concerned. I'm super high on the Bears. I'm lower than a lot of people, almost anybody, on the Chiefs. I'm lower on the Eagles than most people, for sure. I don't think Hurts, realistically, I don't think Hurts should be drafted before Joe Burrow at all. And I don't want to hear about the rush. I don't want to hear all. I know. I've heard it all before. I've had those conversations, but I think Joe Burrow is more valuable in best ball, real life, everything than Jalen Hurts personally. So I'm lower on the Eagles. Obviously, I have 0% AJ Brown right now. Not a lot of Hurts. I have a good chunk of Devontae. I'm not going to lie. I don't have much Barkley. So I'm lower on the Eagles. Hopefully that's good. A couple examples there. Bowers is the only bright spot on a dysfunctional team like Andrews monster season. Genty is the head of the snake, not Bowers. I'm going to just let that conversation happen in the chat. I would be tending to agree with Terrence here. I lean Terrence's viewpoint on this conversation about the Raiders and Bowers. Again, I've had this conversation since literally the big board for months, and I just don't want to get into it again. Ladd would be a bad pick also if he just duplicates last season. We're drafting him as on his potential. Yeah, he's being drafted as absolute ceiling. So I'm not really taking much Ladd personally at all. I pair him up with CeeDee Lamb because they play each other week 16. So I pair him up sometimes with CeeDee Lamb. Other than that, I'm really not drafting much of any or sometimes also with Nico, but I'm not drafting a lot of Nico either. So Nico, Ladd, CD Ladd is basically the only time I'm drafting Ladd personally, and he's being drafted at his ceiling. That's why I agree with this. The Bowers hype crazy. I get the single week ceiling, but I can't do it. I can draft a room of tight ends that can still win. That's kind of what I just was saying about my tight end room here too. So I agree with Darkside. I agree with Terrence. You guys can have that conversation in the chat. I'm not doing it again. You can't make me. Lower on Rams. That's crazy. I like the Rams offense quite a bit. I've done like 500 plus drafts. I think I have like one share of Laporta. Risky, but that's all right. What if Bowers gets better though? He's only 22. Not doing it. You can't make me. I'm lower on the Panthers, specifically Tet and Chuba. Probably not responsible. I'm fine with that. I'm lower on them exposure wise. I wouldn't say like I'm like low on the team and low on those players, but exposure wise, I'm lower on those two players as well. So 0% AJ Brown, you bet. 0% AJ Brown. You bet. If you like him, draft him. Go nuts. Let's jump into another Best Ball Mania, and then we're going to get out of here after this Best Ball Mania. Wait on 7. Tons of room. Tons of room. I have a fair amount of Laporta. Lots of Detroit mini week 17 stacks. Yeah, that's kind of the only times I'm forcing them in a little bit is if I'm doing something like that. I mean, I'll put them with Jefferson just for that little mini stack correlation anyways. And then, yeah, it gives you an option to take either one of the quarterbacks because they go similar areas and they tend to both fall a little bit. So I like to do that and kind of push them when I can, if I can, when I can. Who do we got in the chat in the draft? CD's nuts. I like that. Lay down dead. That's interesting. We got Antwall in the 9. Kiss my third leg. Todd from PA. I know that name. Dr. B. Harris, you're in the chat, right? That you just had a baby? Scrolling up. Yeah, there you are. Nice. I love it when the name matches the underdog name. The name in YouTube matches the underdog name. It's perfect. Antwell's in here. Appreciate you. I'm big on JMO as well. I like JMO a lot. She's like the quintessential perfect best ball pick, really. So I'm in on JMO. AJ Brown is such a good real life player that I can't do it, but I understand the fade. Yeah, I mean, I'm lower on the offense as a whole, and he's being drafted at like on his previous output is how I feel about it. I think this year is going to be a lot closer to what he did last year. I'm not saying like he can't beat last year's production because he absolutely can. I just think it's going to be closer. It probably falls somewhere in the middle, like 200 points roughly. But it's an interesting schedule. Wow, 2.9%. Only 2 shares of Justin Jefferson in Best Ball Mania. But Bijan's still there too, hey? Bijan at 5 is the direction I'm going to go over Jefferson. That kind of sucks ass. I would like to take Jefferson there, but Bijan at 5, like I have Bijan ranked over Jefferson quite easily. So I'll take the little bit of value on Bijan, but man, I really would have rather picked Jefferson there, but that's okay. That's okay. That's an interesting picks 5 and 6. Big on JMO. Brown had 1,000 yards, 7 touchdowns in 13 games and run heavy offense. Let's go to throw more. Hey, man, we don't have to agree on everything. I keep telling people the biggest problem in the best ball space right now is everybody wants everyone to agree with them. Everyone thinks that their take is the best and they want everyone to agree. I don't care. Agree with me, don't agree with me. I really don't give a shit. Like, do your thing. If you like AJ Brown, draft AJ Brown. I don't, and I have reasons, and I'm not going to draft them. So, I mean, I'm probably not going to end up with 0, if I'm being honest. I do have 1.5. There you go. I drafted him once in a BBM. So I'm probably not going to have 0, but I'll be like 3 or 4%. I'm going to be well behind the field on AJ Brown. That's for sure. So, and I mean, that's fine. It's okay, guys. Like, we don't have to agree. Let's stop trying to make everyone agree with each other. That's the biggest problem. The biggest reason why people are, fighting with each other about nonsense. Let's do Bucky. I've only drafted him twice. Pairs up in week 15. Let's do a little double RB. Let's do a completely different build than we just did. So let's stop trying to change each other's minds. It's like my mantra for best ball summer. Stop trying to change everybody's mind. If you you're going to get value off of some people like me. If you like AJ Brown, you're going to get him at pick 20 or whatever. You know what I mean? If you aren't stacking Atlanta, LA Rams Monday Night Football game, you're probably playing the second at best. Atlanta games will be bananas. I'm drafting a lot of that game. Yeah, a lot of that game. So that's why I like Bijan so much. That's why I have him literally ranked second right now. Second or third. Chase, CD, Bijan, they're all very close together, or the two are. So yeah, I'm stacking the shit out of that game. Absolutely. You don't want to be sitting there Monday Night Football with no pieces in that game. If you have a team in the finals in Best Ball Mania and you have 0 pieces of that game, you're going to be, well, you're dead, so there's that. And I guess we might as well just get that game. I don't have Bijan with Devontae Adams, so let's just do that. Let's just do that. Josh Allen would be fun, but I'm good on my exposure. 10% Josh Allen, 10% Lamar. That's good. I'd like to, always wouldn't mind being a little higher, but yeah, if you're sitting there week 17 and you're in first place in Best Ball Mania and you have 0 pieces that Atlanta and Rams game, you're done. You're fucked. You're not winning. Ain't trying to fool anyone who I am. There you go. There you go. Forey Wayne, what's up, man? He's in the chat. He's in the draft. He's in the 10 spot over here. Goes Collins London. Definitely on board with the London pick. That's for damn sure. Appreciate you popping in, man. Why are you so high on Brashard Smith? I just think like he can do things on that offense that no other running back can do in that offense. I know for a fact I was the first one to claim the Jerick McKinnon comp. I know for a fact. There's video evidence of it. So, yeah. And that's what I want out of him. What we saw today, the wheel route, touchdown, pass, that's what he can do in this offense that no one else can do. And he was actually a pretty good pass blocker in college, which is wild considering he's a former wide receiver. So if he can just be acceptable in that regard, then that's going to keep him on the field. So, and again, he's just way fast. He can just do more than anyone else. Like old and busted and dusted Kareem Hunt, I'm not interested in. Pacheco, I like enough. He's fine, but he can't do things that Brashard Smith can do. So, yeah, I just like him. Plus, he's free. He's absolutely free in the 18th round typically. So, yeah, I'm gonna get some shares there. Let's do Pickens. Let's do Pickens. Let's pull him up. Try to get a little bit unique there. I don't know if I need to be doing that. No, that's fine. Okay. My exposure is fine. We're okay. Let's do Pickens. If you extrapolate what he did, he was on a really good pace. And if you have to expect them to pass more of the season and his single week upside is huge, you got a big old ball sack for that fade. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I don't think he's going to kill me. I just don't. He could. I mean, it's Buffalo week 17. He could be the guy you need. That's for damn sure. But we'll see. Love stacking Atlanta. 2% Jefferson is a choice. It's my choice. That's right. What's up, buddy? What's up? You don't got to agree with us either. Nobody wants an echo chamber. Just good discourse. Yeah, absolutely. It's more the trying to change my mind stuff that just like, it's like, I'll stop you there. Like we're wasting each other's time. Like we're wasting each other's breath here. Like there's no need to continue down this path because there's just no point. There's just no point to it. I'm going to bring in Zay. Like to get a few more shares. Make sense with what we're doing here and might make some more sense down the road. So let's bring in Zay. That's right. High tea for the late night boomers. That's right. You got to mix it in. I don't have much art AJ Brown either. I'm never in the sweet spot to be able to draft him. Maybe that works for you. Maybe it doesn't. Last week I drafted Falcons triple with with Devontae Adams bring back 5 picks past ADP. Like was everyone prides themselves on Puka London, but Adams London is more unique. Definitely. Yeah. And like I got here, Bijan Adams, not that super unique, but you'd have to pull up Adams typically. Like if Bijan goes 2 or 3, like you'd have to pull up Adams a little bit, which is fine. And I'm sure it's relatively unique, but like Bijan Adams is I think fairly unique. So I like that too. It's a good way to do it. That's an awesome combo. X wide receiver who can block. That's extremely bullish. Yeah, I like Brashard Smith a lot. Like I was really worried in draft season before I looked at his pass blocking. I was worried that like he wouldn't be able to do that and he would just be third down guy sometimes. But the big thing too is like he can split out. He can do a lot on offense. He can do a lot of things on offense. And he had a 4th or 5th round grade from Lance Zierlein on NFL.com. Ended up going in the 7th round, which is kind of wild, and couldn't have found a better home. So I'm super bullish on Brashard Smith, and the drum beat's already started. So let's go. Why would you stop trying to change people's mind as an analyst? You inform people and let them decide. I think part of the being in the community is sharing. Now belittling people is ill-advised. If you think I'm belittling anybody, like I'm not belittling anybody. If you think I am, then I don't know. I wouldn't say I'm belittling anybody. I'm saying listen to me or don't. It's your decision. So yeah, I'm not going to change your mind. I'm not going to change anybody's mind, and nobody's going to change my mind. So let's stop trying. Like if you want me to agree with you, that's not going to happen. Like I'm not just going to say, okay, you're right, I'm wrong. Let's do that. Let's do Jennings here. And if you feel like I'm belittling you, then my apologies, I guess. But results will absolutely speak for themselves. Dave Souza changed his mind and got stomped out. I don't know. Let that be a lesson for all of us. I mean, name me a time I've ever told anybody that they're wrong, unless they are very wrong, which is like, that's how she goes. But I don't think anybody's wrong. Do your own thing. I always defend Gritty all the time. Do I agree with Gritty? No. I do not draft like Gritty. I do not agree with how he drafts. I don't think it's sound strategy. Do I think he's wrong? No. Do your thing, man. We're spending our own money here. Like we're all drafting our own teams. We're all spending our own money. The guys that I don't necessarily trust are guys like Davis, who isn't spending his own money. Not all of it. So that Rome exposure is the sharpest thing I've ever seen. It's a little aggressive. It's a little on the aggressive side, if we're being honest with ourselves. It is a little, it's 35% Rome. Like, it's a little aggressive. Let's go Jaden Reed. Pairs up with Zay Flowers. Makes a lot of sense. It's a little aggressive, but I'm super high on Rome. Kind of always have been. If I ever argue something, it's usually because I want to see if the person can make a view it. If the person can make me view it differently. I never really try to change people's minds. Word, like, again, some of the stuff we just talked about, like over and over and over again, like the Brock Bowers with the wide receivers and the Lad McConkey, like that conversation doesn't need to happen again. So that's where it's like, I'm just not doing it. Like, if you want to do that, do that. And typically that's, where I get. So like Terrence was saying, like, if you think I'm belittling, I'm definitely not. I'm just sick of having the same conversations over and over again. Like, I have my takes, and either, like, if you just came into the show, like, I appreciate you coming in, and like ask the take, and I'll give the take. And then that's been my take for months. Like, you know what I mean? That's what I'm getting at, is like, it's probably because I just don't want to have the conversation for 100th time. It's kind of where we're at. I'm not here to change your mind, just for discussion. I have 0% Rome and 20% Travis Hunter. We just drafted him. That's absolutely okay. Absolutely. And well, I think he's the worst pick on the board. Interesting. That's a. I feel belittled by the Rome exposure. You have like double what I have. Again, I think it's a little aggressive. I do think it's a little aggressive. And I've never confused with people. I do not call myself an analyst. So analyst job isn't to change people's mind. It's to break things down for them the way they see it. Have you ever seen two analysts agree on anything? I've never called myself an analyst. I think it's like, not derogatory, but I don't ever want to be referred to as a fantasy analyst. I draft best ball teams and I have opinions. They're very strong opinions typically. And it's pretty well known that I have strong opinions. And I'll lay out my takes. I'll lay out my reasoning. If you disagree with me, that's fine. That's fine. If you agree with me, great. If it helps you, amazing. That's the ultimate goal. Definitely Jordan Mason here. That's an easy click for me. The ultimate goal is to help people. If it helps you, great. I hope it does. That's the goal. The goal is to help people hopefully win some money. So hopefully that can happen. Okay, good. I hope nobody feels belittled in here. Yeah, I mean, there are some other guys that do this. So, yeah. Don't belittle and belittle. Can you tell me I'm stupid as shit? I want to draft some eliminators with early bye weeks and hope for Paul Duck could stack big money. I've been actually thinking this too. I've actually been kind of thinking this too. Is like, if I can sneak through, like I actually always try to get some bye week 5s in there. I do. Because of this reason. Like, I don't know how aggressive we want to get with that. And like, how many bye week 5 players we want to get through, but I want to get some. Man, Pearsall. Okay. That's annoying. I definitely wanted Purdy there. So let's do Tyrone Tracy, I guess. I probably should have went with the quarterback there. Wow. Yeah, I should have went with a quarterback. Maybe even Williams. I'm going to fall behind at quarterback here, and it's not going to feel good. This is what I'm getting at, where it doesn't feel good to fall behind at quarterback. I don't like these situations. Purdy was going to be my insta click, obviously, but we'll see. But yeah, I've been thinking this too. I've been trying to, I anytime I draft an eliminator, I try to get in a couple bye week 5 guys at least. Because if you can sneak them through, then you're kind of laughing. So yeah, I mean, I don't think you're stupid as shit, is what I'll say. Totally get that. The Bowers Lad exact example has been parroted for a month. Exactly. I just don't want to have that conversation anymore. I mean, when people call someone stupid or names or act like they're elite drafters, 100%. I know I don't do that for a fact. So, and if I have, or you hear it, call me out on it, because I definitely do not do that. I just do not do that. So there are some people that do it, and I don't like it or agree with it. Like number 23, let's get those likes up. Hit that like button for me, guys. A couple new guys in the chat. Appreciate you. We're just got over the 600 subscriber mark. If you appreciate the content, if you like some very, very firm takes that I will not change, and it's typically different than other people think, then hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification bell so you know I'm going live, all that kind of stuff. I took Ashton Genty in a big board. Tell me I'm stupid. That's an inside joke. I post when we stop listening, we become stupid. I like that. Yeah, I like that regardless. Yikes. Oh, man. Where? I got to do it this way. Let's bring in Jordan Love to pair up with Zay Flowers, Jaden Reed. I have to do it that way because the Matthew Golden drafter is right here. Only has Burrow. That's too concerning for me with how much of a situation I'm in at quarterback right now. So this guy's got Jaden. He can be a little bit elite. This guy will probably take a quarterback. We'll see. But it wouldn't have been probably Love, but you never know. Badgeless. You never know what they're going to do. And this guy could definitely take him. So there goes Bo Nix. Yeah, pairs up with Ingram. I don't mind that, but you never know. So this guy's doing what he should do, but it's risky. I wouldn't consider you an analyst either. I was just commenting on Terrence said, word, feel you. Emo Cowboy. Not sure what we're talking about there. OTS is like Skip Bayless if you didn't rage bait. I'm not sure if that's a compliment or not. I think I'm more like, I'm a lot like, what's his name? Sims. Not Phil Sims. Phil Sims? No. His son? Steven? No. The Sims, the NBC guy who I beat to the Kyle Williams drum beat. For anyone that doesn't know, I'm the original Kyle Williams truther. The original. Anytime I mention Kyle Williams, you got to mention Cody Woody, you got to mention OTS. That's a Ricky Bobby thing. Kraft would have been the instant click, obviously, but That's what I wanted to go Kraft then Love, but it just isn't worth the risk. It just is not worth the risk there. Let's bring up Trevor Lawrence. I don't have enough of him. And we can always back stack a little bit. I don't have any other options, so I have to back stack. That sucks to lose Kraft, just 2 picks before me, but it is what it is. We'll see what we do here. I think this is going to be a 3-5-7-3, which I really don't like, but that's fine. It is what it is. It kind of has to happen, I feel like. I'm not sure if that's a compliment or a shot at me, Hartman. Matchups only get harder and harder. Feels like maybe 20% of my teams. I don't hate it. I don't hate it because, yeah, once you get them through, then other people have bye weeks coming. You're done your bye weeks, obviously. That's the whole idea, obviously. So I don't hate it. It's just risky. But if you get a few through, OTS can't be like Skip Bayless. He doesn't obsess about the Cowboys and Tom Brady. Make it Bengals and Burrow. Yeah. I don't know if that's that hurts my feelings or makes me feel good. I'm not sure. What's your thoughts on drafting Rice and Judkins? I think Rice's price is getting more palatable, back down to the 3-4 turn. I would like to see him at the 4-5 turn, literally. I've been saying for months and months and months and months and months that I think if I'm the NFL, I throw the book at Rashee Rice and I suspend him for 8 to 12 games. I set an example because there is no precedent for what he did. There is no precedent for suspensions. Talked about this a bunch last episode, I think. So I would throw the book at Rashee Rice. I want to see what his suspension's like, but I am clicking him if he falls into the 4th round a little bit here and there, if it makes sense to my build, and I don't have to rely on him. The other thing that worries me about Rashee Rice is it's a bye week 10. So even if it is only 6 games, couple games to get going, then by week 9 he has a good game, then week 10 is a bye week. Good luck advancing that team with Rashee Rice. That's my big concern there. This is what I don't like to do at quarterback. My running backs are in a really good spot, though, so that feels good. I could do Mims. I would like a few more shares. Pairs up with Green Bay and Jacksonville, so that's good. Let's do Mims. Probably 3-5-7-3. Don't love the situation at quarterback. If I had Brock Purdy and Jordan Love, I would stop at 2 and feel okay about it. But it is what it is. It is what it is. Jeez. Yeah, this is why I don't like to fall back on quarterback. But there you go on Rice. That's pretty much it. It's getting better, but it's got to keep falling for me to really click him much. Yeah, 4-5 turn, late 4th round would be much, much more palatable. But I do want to see what the suspension's like. Judkins probably 6 games, most likely. Tough as a rookie to miss 6 games, and he's not signed. He's not in camp right now. So we'll see how long that takes. Judkins is realistically off my board right now. I have too much of him as it sits. I'm at probably 16%, roughly $300 invested in Best Ball Mania to Judkins. So he's off my board right now. Yeah, and I don't particularly think that changes anytime super soon. I'm just going to bring in Brenton Strange here, pair him up with Trevor Lawrence. I like him anyways. Makes sense. Bring him up. There we go. So Judkins is off my board right now. As far as where I would take him if I didn't have so much of him, not at 110. That's too high. Probably right around Benson, 140s, I guess, is probably where I would take him. I would take Bayshal Tootin ahead of him. I would take Rashad White. I would take Ray Davis. I would take Tajay, Spears. I would take Ramondre. I would take Charbonnet. I would take Scadaboo. So I wouldn't click them till probably 140s. And I think that's pretty consensus right now across the board, 140s, 150s, which is fair. But again, for me, he's off my board completely right now. But realistically, yeah, I would say right around Benson. If I had to make the choice between Judkins and Benson, that's a choice. That's a choice. But Judkins and Scadaboo every single time. JSN or Pickens straight up if you only had one draft. JSN. Damn, I just saw that. Congrats on the 600 subs. Appreciate you, man. For those that don't know, Putt Daddy's the OG around here, man. Putt Daddy's the OG in this chat. He's been around the longest, been with me the longest. Shout out Putt Daddy. He's the man. He's the guy. 2 mules and a cart. I think this is the first time I've seen you in the chat. Appreciate you. Just stumbled on your channel, watching while doing a drafters mini. Watch to most streamers. I'm an old boomer and nothing bores me more than host chatters blowing up smoke each other's asses. Yeah, most people disagree with me, if I'm being honest. Like most people disagree with my takes and like other streamers. Man, I'm gonna have to lean into this these two quarterbacks. I'm gonna lean in. I kind of feel like I have to. So I get an extra pick somewhere. That's cool, I guess. But I'll come back to that 1 second here. Got to make a pick. Let's do... Mike Gesicki, I guess. I don't know. I don't love it, but I do want to get another tight end in here. I'm going to stop at 2 quarterbacks. That's really hideous, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to lean in on that. I don't like it. I really don't like it, but it's what I'm going to do. Yikes. Then hosts and chatters blowing up each other's chokes, smoke up each other's holes. Yeah, most people disagree with me. Like most people disagree with me on a lot of things. And I'm not really one to flatter for no good reason. If I disagree with someone, I'm going to tell them. And I'm going to tell them why. And then, we can have a conversation. And sometimes it goes smooth. Sometimes not so much. I don't know. Was I 600? No, I got 600 earlier today, but appreciate you popping in and hitting that sub button, man. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. Keeps us going. 3 Spot just wants to have fun. What's he doing? Lamb, JT, Daniels, Tet. Where's he going off the rails here? Taking my Tucker Craft, that's for sure. He's doing all right. That's not that bad. That's not that bad. What do we want to do here? Let's just pull up Dammy Brown. Let's just pull up Dammy Brown, get that double stack Jacksonville. I've got to bring back with Mims. Yeah. Let's see what happens there. Boomers unite. I was 100% taking Love. Smart move. That's why I subbed. That's why I'm subbed. Appreciate that, man. Yeah, I had to do it because you were going to take him. Like, well, even if you maybe you were, maybe you wouldn't, but it's the risk. Like I can't risk not getting Love there. Like I can risk not getting Tucker Craft, and maybe he gets back to me, X% of the time, but I cannot risk Jordan Love not coming back to me here. So you have to do those types of things. You have to look at the board, see what guys have done. Where's the golden drafter in this case, right? And then I took Jaden Reed down the line. Where's the golden drafter? Where's the Tampa Bay drafter in that situation, right? Buka, Godwin. We've got Mike Evans, right? Those are the types of things you got to look at. Marvin Harrison and Trey McBride when you're drafting the quarterbacks. So Rashard Smith goes up at 16th round this time. So there you go. So you got to look at the board and you got to plan it out. Chris Sims, that's right. Chris Sims, Dan Orlovsky, Bobby Lane, for Hartman. Arts and Craft. There you go. Man, I'm falling behind on the chat. For Rashee Rice, it's widely expected to be 4 to 6 games suspension. I would imagine the suspension falls within that range. Yeah, maybe. If I'm the NFL, I throw the book at him. I really do. Man, Giddens was certainly on the table for me. Mind you, I wouldn't have even taken him here. Let's just do Mason Taylor, even though I have way more than I would like of him. But it pairs up nicely. Pairs up nicely with my Jacksonville Week 15. And it's a rookie tight end with my 2 savvy vets in there. You know, that's a good texture that I like in my tight end room. But I do need to ease off on the Mason Taylor. Problem is I have a lot of Justin Fields, a lot of Drake May, and he's kind of in that bring back game or stack game. So yeah, I mean, again, there's no precedent. Like, people are just assigning a precedent of 4 to 6 games, but there is no precedent for what he did. And the fact that someone wasn't very seriously injured and potentially killed in that situation, if you've not seen the video, go watch the video. It's shocking that nobody got seriously hurt or even killed in that. So there's no precedent for what happened there. So if I'm the NFL, I throw the book at him and I send a very, 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 very strong message to my player pool that this is not acceptable. We will not tolerate it, and you will be punished to the full extent of our power, which is they can do whatever the hell they want. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Let's do... Wait for this pick. After 250 plus drafts, I have 0 Rice. I have not very much. In 271, let's go Calvin Austin here. I like the click there. I have 271 drafts under my belt. This is 273, actually. But they're not updated as far as my stats or my numbers here. So 3%. 3% and $95 of Rashee Rice is where I'm at. Completely agree on the Rice suspension. I'm right with you. 450 plus. Dang. Fantasy Dog getting the volume in. I'm going to slow with 1 QB and Ward and Geno at the top of the ADP. Who'd rather backstack or take unstacked? I'm so high on Geno, but the Ward fall rushing upside is tempting. I would still take Geno. Like, I just do not think that that Ward is going to have a super strong rookie season. I really don't at all. I'm drafting 0 Ward. Let's see. I'm at all drafts, all teams, all tournaments. Okay. What do I have for Ward? 0.4%, $5. I took him on a puppy. Took him on 1 puppy. So there you go. So I would take Geno in that case. And then the backstacks aren't amazing. I would take Geno naked, like, you know, Tucker, Trey Tucker, Thornton, right? It's up to you if you're drafting those guys. I'm not a ton for sure. I have a couple shares, but nothing major. So yeah. Damn, I thought I was the only one. Thankfully, I can only draft on drafters. I'm also a hoser. Doug Ford is a douche. Oh, you live in Ontario. Shout out. I'm in Alberta. I'm Canadian. So there you go. Shout out Canadian. We got to stick together. Yeah, it sucks you guys can't draft on, or no, not on DK. You can't on Underdog either in Ontario. I'm not sure. 80% Bowers will live without your right hand. 80% Bowers. I need my right hand for lots of things. They don't call him Dynamic Brown for nothing. That's right. That's why my wife calls me behind closed doors Dynamic Brown. Interesting. We're gonna bring in Taj Brooks' share I've only drafted him. Have I drafted him in Best Ball Mania? Maybe once. One time in Best Ball Mania. This is number 2. With the Zach Moss news, which I was very concerned about earlier this season, like it's a back injury that's very concerning for running backs, necks, backs, all that stuff. Even Michael Pittman, that's concerning for, right? So I was drafting 0 Zach Moss. I did take him in the big board, Taj Brooks, a relative amount, 6 to 8%, something like that. But I haven't been clicking him a ton in the big board. In Best Ball Summer, post draft Best Ball Mania season, whatever you want to call it. But I do have time to get a few clicks in, which is what I'm trying to do. And this makes sense in a room like this. So realistically, it's these 4 very strong at the top, and then Taj Brooks. You do have some very controversial and contrarian takes, and you stand on them firmly. It's pretty gangster, not gonna lie. Yeah, I'm not going to say shit and then backtrack on it like a month later. Like I've been saying the same stuff for the most part since January, literally for the most part, like some things little bit, but I was drafting. I have 0 Ashton Genty in the big board season. Yeah. I just have my takes and I see it how I see it. And I'm more right than I'm wrong. At least the history of my fantasy career, which is years and years and years on the internet, 5 years. You can go watch old videos. My track record has been pretty good as far as I'm concerned about being more right than wrong. And it's all out there. So there you go. Much love, dogs. Older, seen Gale Sayers play. Nice. Gale Sayers. That's wild. Old dogs in the house. Appreciate you guys. She said sorry and he plays for the Chiefs. How'd you give him more than 4? Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what he gets. I can recap the teams. We'll do that. I'm trying to catch up on this chat here. I work in criminal defense space in the States. Throwing the book at an outlier has little to no impact on the collective. Really? Interesting. I would think it would, because I don't know, sends a message like we're not going to tolerate this stuff. And the bigger thing is there's no precedent. So it's not an outlier. Like, well, this isn't actually, it is an outlier because this is the only thing that's happened like this outside of like Henry Ruggs, who killed somebody, who went to prison, completely different. Like with this one, nobody got seriously injured. So there's really no precedent here. It wasn't just like speeding, got pulled over. He was speeding, fled the scene. It was all kinds of bad. So plus a week after, he smacked a photographer, assaulted a photographer, allegedly, at a nightclub at 3 a.m. Like, he wasn't exactly keeping his nose clean, after this happened. So I don't know. We'll see. That's just what I would do if I were the NFL. But it'd be kind of sick if the Ward puppy team makes the finals. That'd be interesting. Alberta represent, my friend. That's right. Fantasy football dad. You from Alberta as well? Nice. Shout out. Big drafted in his Canadian. I'm not sure I like that guy. I'm not sure. I don't really watch his show, but I had one small interaction on Twitter, and I don't know. Son of a gun. Hey boys, me too. Yeah, you're from BC, I think, Bobby Hill, right? Terrence says that's such a good point. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens with the suspension. If I could pick one streamer to win BBM, it'd be you, because it'd really make everyone reconsider the way they think. I feel like you're one of the only streamers with unique takes. Appreciate that. Like, I always say, like, I don't do this stuff, and I'm not doing it to be contrarian. I'm not just doing it to be different. I just see things differently, and it's how I see things. That's that. What do we got here? Curious what you think of my other zeros: Pacheco, Scadaboo, Cup, Benson, Blue, St. Brown. Only a couple others around him with higher spike week probabilities. I mean, I like the floor that Amon-Ra represents, and the ceiling is there, 2 touchdown upside all the time. So I don't want to be 0 on St. Brown. I want to be at the field, probably about the 8% on Amon-Ra. It also depends on your volume. I think you said you have like hundreds of drafts, so you do a lot of volume. When you have a lot of volume, like, I just don't want to be zeros with a lot of guys. Like, depends on who it is. I'm definitely lower on Cup for sure. I am below where I want to be on St. Brown right now. I think Blue makes sense in certain builds. Scadaboo, I definitely don't mind. I want to be at least at the field 10, 12%. I think there's a lot of builds where Scadaboo makes sense for how I build in 0 RB types. So Pacheco, Scadaboo, I mean, it depends on how you build because, from how I build, these guys are actually quite valuable. Pacheco, Scadaboo, Benson, Blue, they're all quite valuable to me. Again, if you're drafting 0 hero anchor RB type stuff where you're pushing running back a little bit, these guys are pretty valuable in those types of builds. So, I like all of these players in certain scenarios in a vacuum, except for Cup. I'm pretty low on Cup as well. So I don't mind being close to a 0 on that. Made me panic pick the Love, I'm assuming. The Love pick. Jordan Love. Crazy that OTS lives in the only good province. So sad for other Canadians. Yeah, man. Alberta's where it's at. Alberta is the only place I would live in Canada. it's where it's at. So yeah, I'm not moving ever. You're dealing with guys who come from poverty and money with impulse control problems. I know, but like that's the only way to make them pay is by hitting their pocketbook. Like if he wasn't an NFL player, his punishment would be a lot firmer than what it is. Everybody basically is saying that he got off light legally, right? In a legal sense, he got off quite light, and it was pretty shocking how light it was. I agree with all this, but like the only way to really send a message is to hit him in the pocketbook. Like, and that's what suspending him for multiple games will do. He will not be getting a check. So that's the only way to really send a message and make it hurt. That's how I see it. But I mean, it could be wrong. Alberta has a lot going for BC is way nicer in terms of nature and weather, just expensive and very liberal. Yeah. I mean, I'd rather, go on vacations than pay my rent. You know what I mean? Like, I'd rather buy a house than pay rent my whole life. So yeah, nice. Alberta. Appreciate that. Nice. We got an Alberta guy in here. That's awesome. I'm in Chestermere, Alberta. Still outside of Calgary. You know where that's at, probably. The Kansas Comet was the greatest running back ever. I'm not sure what we're talking about here. I think you're talking about Gale Sayers, maybe still. Gale Sayers stuff. What stream would you say that you see eye to eye with the most? Ooh. Probably PPR Tyler. We're both like just high T ball knowers. We just watch tape. We know ball. We think we know ball. People think we know ball. I don't know. Like probably PPR Tyler. Realistically, we're both like the right wing slappies. Right wing slappies are just like ball knower vibe drafters. We're not data guys to the extreme. I do mix in data into my process. Obviously, it's what this show kicked off as. But I'm more like ball knowers unite, watch tape, watch football. And yeah, so it's probably PPR Tyler, to be honest, though we do have some very firm, different opposing takes. So yeah, probably PPR Tyler, I would say. Ray Rice never played again. That didn't stop Quinshon or Hill. True. OTS is the only streamer with the correct Dallas take. Nice. We're caught up. Let's go through these teams, and then we're going to get out of here. We got 2583, which is, I think, my most common. That's my most common build. Very precarious at quarterback here. Jordan Love and Trevor Lawrence. That's concerning, but I got put in a position and had to lean in on it. It is what it is. Bijan Robinson, Bucky Irving, Jordan Mason, Tyrone Tracy, Taj Brooks. I really like this running back room a lot. That's in good shape. I'm happy there. Devontae Adams, George Pickens, Zay Flowers, Juwan Jennings, Jaden Reed, Marvin Mims, Dammy Brown, and Calvin Austin. I like this wide receiver room a lot. Quality texture, good mix of everything. I like that a lot. Brenton Strange, Mike Gesicki, and Mason Taylor. That all works. Everything is in a really good spot except for this quarterback room. I'm going to need Jordan Love to get back to 2023 levels and Trevor Lawrence to have a career season. That's what we need. Doable. Both things are doable. We got Dr. B. Harris in the one spot, Joe Burrow and Matthew Stafford. That's close to needing a third. I don't hate it. That's close to wanting a third, though. But I really don't mind it. That'll work. I think that'll work. It's fine. I'm happy you took Joe Burrow at 48. I think that's the way to go when you take Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Trey McBride. I think that's the way to go. I do it myself all the time. So I don't mind this room. James Cook, Travis Etienne, Zach Charbonnet, Spears, Algier, and Jarquez Hunter. I like Jarquez Hunter. I would probably only go with 2 bye week 8 running backs when I'm thinner. I don't like Etienne at all, but that doesn't mean I'm right. I like Spears. I like this room. In a vacuum as a whole, I like the room. I'm fine with it. That works for me. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Jerry Jeudy, Matthew Golden, Michael Pittman Jr., Pop Douglas, and Wan'Dale Robinson. I don't mind that. That'll play as well. McBride and Jonnu got some correlation with the Cincinnati side. Naked Stafford, which I don't love. I don't mind taking naked Stafford, but I would have really leaned in on trying to get some Miami and Baltimore to just say, like, I'm relying on the Bengals in the playoffs in weeks 15, 16, 17. The Bengals are going to get me there, and they're going to win me the tournament in week 17, and then Matthew Stafford is going to help me advance. That's kind of the way I play it when I do that kind of a thing, but that's just kind of the way I play it. We've got Ant Wall and Forey Wayne in here. There's so many better picks around them, in my opinion. Can't imagine Dallas handing the starting running back job to an undersized 4th round pick with fumbling issues. Just my opinion. We'll see. No, I don't think he's going to be the starter. But he's a spike week type of guy. Like, he only needs 6 to 8 touches, total touches, carries, and catches, right? And he could pop off. So that's kind of the thesis there. He's not going to be the workhorse starting running back for the Cowboys, unless there's some major injuries to like Javonte and Miles Sanders. But he's got that upside. He's got that, one play upside, get in the end zone, 50-yard touchdown type of stuff. So that's what makes him a little bit valuable as far as Jaden Blue is concerned. Appreciate you, Terrence, as always. Appreciate you coming in, chatting. Have a good night, man. We'll see you soon. We'll be wrapping up in a minute here. It's his ADP, I guess. Yeah, that's fair. Appreciate you. It's all about ADP. Agree with that. Is the right Miami pick. I try to get the better, Tyreek, Waddle, Achane, Wright, those picks. Good stuff, man. Much appreciated. Yeah, no worries. Appreciate you popping in. Yeah, these dudes have Superman complex, being young, rich, and famous. I'd maybe stop Rice from reoffending. Yeah, that's the only thing you can do is punish them, man. Make it hurt. Yeah, I like this take. That's my take. Will King Henry fall off this year? Not likely. Dude's a freak. He's an absolute animal. I don't think so. I'm still drafting him. I don't love the price, and it's in a weird spot. I'd rather take the spike week potential in Achane with where they go. But after Achane, then yeah, it's definitely Derrick Henry. I would take Ashton Genty and Achane over Henry. And then it's Henry before any of these other guys here for sure. So it just works out most of the time that I just don't get a lot of Henry. So yeah. I was worried about taking him last year, but this I'm all of a sudden in. Funny how that works. Yeah, I mean, I was definitely very much in on Derrick Henry last year, and now I'm kind of out. So the price is a big difference, and again, just where he goes. So kind of what I laid out there, just the area in the draft that he goes is kind of the thing. So we got Antwall's team from the 9 spot, 2-5-8-3, and the same structure. I like that. Kyler Murray, CJ Stroud, I dig it. Yeah, I dig that. That's fine to stop at 2. Derrick Henry, Amarian Hampton, Hubbard, Pollard, Woody Marks. I like that. I've been picking Woody Marks quietly myself. And it's, Joe Mixon in a walking boot. I'm 0% Joe Mixon. 0% Joe Mixon and a little bit of Woody Marks. And I think that's going to potentially pay some dividends. You obviously pair him up with CJ as well. You got the Amarian Hampton bring back, maybe some more pieces down here, but we'll get there. I like this a lot, actually. It's very similar to what I did. It's literally exactly what I did with my team as well. 4 guys that can all play and show up in my lineup and a potential rookie guy. I like that. Antwall, well done. Neighbors, Harrison, Olave, Higgins, Coleman, Hollywood Brown, Romeo Dobbs, and Xavier Leggett. I like that. Wow, what a value on Xavier Leggett there. That's huge. Well done. Another Houston Texan with CJ Stroud. Isaiah Likely, Elijah Arroyo, and Aronde Gadsden. There's the weakness, but throw some volume at it. That's okay. Throw a little bit of volume at it. I like Arroyo right now. I don't mind Isaiah Likely, round after ADP, but that's kind of where he should be going. But that's the weak spot, obviously. Every team's going to have some sort of a weak spot, and that's where it is for you, obviously, at tight end there. Not a crazy amount of correlation, but that's okay. It's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world. Week 17 is kind of all that matters for the last 2 teams we went over here. We got the correlation to week 15 with Houston and Arizona, so that's good. Good matchups in week 16 as well, so that's fine. I like this. This is good. I like this team out. Well done. Well done. And then we've got Forey Wayne over here, 3-5-8-2, Jared Goff, JJ McCarthy, Geno Smith. Yeah, that'll work. That's okay. I don't love overlapping bye weeks with my quarterbacks personally, and if I do, I don't mind if it's like bye week 5, but that's all right. What do we got? Yeah, Jack Besh. Okay, we got some correlation, so there you go. James Conner, Joe Mixon, Scatterboo, Davis, Dowdle. This is thin for me. This is very precarious for me. I don't pick a lot of James Conner at all. I don't pick a lot of Joe Mixon at all because similar reasons. I'm 0% Joe Mixon. I think I've got a couple shares of James Conner. It's just the age and the pounding that they've taken throughout their career. They've both been relatively injury prone, like as of late. Conner, the first healthy season last year he's ever had. Joe Mixon is starting to get banged up. He's starting to fall apart a little bit. Scatterboo's a rookie. Backup Davis, backup Dowdle. This is a precarious room for me, but we'll see how it goes. Nico Collins, Drake London, Mike Evans, JSN, Besh, Pierce, Knoll, Yoshivas. I don't mind that. We're correlated up. We're stacked up, correlated up. So I don't mind like what we're doing here. Laporte on Hawkinson. That's one we mentioned earlier as far as stopping at 2 tight ends. I don't mind that. I'm happy with that. Wide receiver room is a little on the precarious side. I mean, there's a lot of like, this team's either going to finish first or second or 12th. That's kind of how I feel about this team, if I'm being honest. It's either gonna advance or it's gonna finish dead last in the pod. But that's just how I feel about it. Let's catch up on the chat. Ravens offense with the load manager will probably prolong his career. Yeah, he's gonna be fantasy viable until he's not, and we'll see. 0% Mixon strong take noted. You're about 1%. Is that what it is? I just don't think Mixon. I just don't like Mixon. I don't like him at all at his price, at anything, more or less. Like, I'm just not drafting Joe Mixon. Showed up in a boot. It's not a good scene. I think he's falling apart. I'm not drafting Joe Mixon. Trevor Etienne. BU. I'm not sure what BU means. I'm not really picking Trevor Etienne. I'm not really picking him. I might have like a share or 2 in like a big board, or sorry. Yeah, maybe a share or 2 in the big board, maybe. And 1 or 2 post draft. I'm not drafting him pretty much at all. Backup Trevor Etienne. Yeah. I'm not drafting. Do I draft Shuck? No, I do not. I do not draft Tyler Shuck at all. At all. There's a very, very likely scenario that the Saints are the worst team in the NFL this year. And I don't think rookie Tyler Shuck, who couldn't stay healthy in college, is going to come in and be, any kind of fantasy relevance in the NFL. I really don't see it. So no, I'm not drafting any Tyler Shuck. I said it literally. I just watched my first episode this year, which was the big board season, late January, maybe early February, something like that. I watched my first episode I did coming back after playoff best ball. The first episode, right? The NFL was still playing games. I said then that I will not be drafting any of these rookie quarterbacks. And I have not. I have not, unless I got bullied into it for a reason or two. Cam Ward in a puppy one time. 1 out of 273 drafts I've drafted Cam Ward. 0 times I've drafted Tyler Shuck. I drafted Cam Ward 0 times in the big board. 0 Shedeur Sanders. That's for damn sure. I'm not drafting the rookies this year. I don't see it. Could it happen? Sure, but I just really don't think so. And I don't like to be uncomfortable at quarterback. So no, I'm not, especially in Best Ball Mania, where I'm very focused. I will not be drafting any rookie quarterbacks. It's just not happening. Kellen Moore will save them. I hope. Winston to the Saints. There you go. That'd be fun. That would be fun. Let's get strap a rocket ship to Chris Olave if Jameis Winston is playing I don't give a fuck football. So yeah, let's do it. That'd be fun. But we're going to get out of here, guys. When he sets his feet, he can be an accurate thrower. Problem is he doesn't set his feet very much. Talking about the Jane Blue. We're going to get out of here, guys. We've been live for a while. Appreciate everybody coming in. Hit that like button on your way out. If you haven't, if you hit that subscribe button, if you appreciate the content, all that stuff. Subscriber mode's turned on. So I know you guys are subscribed. I appreciate each and every one of you coming in, hitting the buttons and doing all this stuff. We'll be back. What are we, Wednesday today? We'll be back probably Friday evening. We'll probably do. So hit that notification bell. Let you know when we're going live. Training camp season, baby. We're going to get some news on the daily. Everybody's going to be insufferable on the Twitter machine. So have fun out there. Stay safe. Like we always say on Off the Schneid, if you're afraid to be wrong, you'll never be right. Hopefully tonight we're right. We win $2 million in Best Ball Mania. Have yourselves a great night. Peace.